Hi, this is Pablo Pasos from CaboLabs.com. We work in health informatics. We provide consultancy, we provide training on this area. And I want to share with you some information about the next workshop, the upcoming workshop of EHRServer. And if you go to our website, CaboLabs.com, in the services area, you will find information about education and training, and here on the online education program link, you will find information about the upcoming workshop, the EHRServer. Here you can find information about the program and the enrollment form where you can sign up to the workshop, and you will get all the payment information there, so you can confirm your enrollment. And a little bit about the program, you can see it in detail later. The idea is to just share with you an overview on where to find all the information about the workshop. The EHRServer is a tool to manage, to store and share information about patients. Basically, clinical information is focused on clinical information that is standardized. It complies with the openEHR international standard. The idea of the workshop, the basic goal of the workshop, is to share information about how the EHRServer works, how to integrate it with your clinical information systems, your healthcare apps, etc., as a backend, mainly as a clinical information repository. Yeah, but with one advantage: is completely standardized. The information is completely standardized. So the purpose of this workshop is to have that tool to be available in our tool set. So the next time you have an e-health project and you want to create a new product, instead of creating your own clinical data repository, and you will need one, and most of the clinical information system development projects imply some kind of designing, development, testing, and implementation of a clinical data repository. The idea is to learn how to use this tool, and instead of you creating your own customized ad hoc clinical data repository, you can use this as a service. You can integrate with the REST API, you can store your information in a standard format, and you can retrieve information from that repository in a standard way. So you can then show that information, you can analyze that information in other tools and applications. That's the basic idea. So you can focus on your application, you can focus on complying with your client's requirements, with your requirements if it's your project or your product. And this is open source, of course, so you can actually see how it's built. And the idea of the workshop is also to understand how the EHRServer was built, how the information is stored, how to actually use the EHRServer, install, configure it, and actually integrate it into your application environment if you have more than one application, and use this mainly as a centralized clinical data repository. Yeah. This workshop is for IT people, is for programmers, is for architects, is for project managers to understand the tools that they might choose for their own projects. You will need programming skills, also to know a little bit about JSON and XML, and of course HTTP, because we will use the REST API, so you need to know a little bit about those, and that is enough. But it's for IT people mainly, and highly technical people. Yeah. So about the topics in the workshop, or the topics that we will touch in the workshop, we will start to understand how the EHR server was built, the main requirements, and a little bit of history behind the EHR server. Then understand the main features, the main characteristics, functionalities, etc. How the code, because this is open source, how the code is organized, and how you can access the documentation, and where to find the documentation, and how to read the documentation. We'll see a little bit about that also. Also about how the project is managed, and how also different versions and releases are organized, and how to, if you have an issue using the EHR server, how you can report the issue or ask a question in our support groups. Yeah, we'll see all about that. Also how to install, how to configure it, how to manage internal information like organizations, users, roles, permissions, etc. Also how to manage clinical records, EHRs, clinical documents. We will see a little bit about openEHR, the openEHR standard, because the whole EHR server is based on this standard. So knowing about this standard is not totally required, but I think if you know a little bit about how openEHR works and the focus, the purpose, etc. of openEHR, you can get more value from using the EHR server, and you can use the EHR server with a better understanding of what is behind all the features, all the information management, how the information is stored and retrieved. I think knowing a little bit about openEHR can help on that area also. And if you talk about openEHR, the standard, we need to talk about archetypes and templates, and mainly templates because internally in the EHR server, all the clinical documents are defined by templates. Yeah, so it's the main artifact or component that we use internally to define the internal structure of each clinical document that will be stored in the EHR server. So knowing about how to create templates, how to manage templates is very important in terms of how to use the EHR server. Then we will see the EHR server REST API. We will test each endpoint of the API. You will learn about how to access the API, how to authenticate users, get your token, create EHRs, commit clinical documents, execute queries, etc., and get documents back also from the REST API. So basically, you will use the REST API to integrate the EHR server into your application. So you can send information to the EHR server from any clinical application, and also retrieve information from the EHR server, so you can display the information, or you can analyze the information, show alerts to your users, etc. Yeah. Also, we will talk a little bit about how to manage users in the EHR server. There are a couple of options on how to manage users, mainly to use the REST API. So we'll see a little bit about that also. How to create queries is very important. The query builder component in the EHR server is the main component that allows you to access very specific information, to retrieve information from the EHR server, and include that information in your clinical applications. I think the query builder component in the EHR server is the most complex one, because it allows you to actually create queries without using code. You don't need to write SQL to access clinical information. You just use a user interface. You just point and click different fields and values and define your constraints in a visual way. And you define how to retrieve information in that way. It's very easy to create those queries. Even a clinician can create those queries because are not defined in a technical way, are defined in a conceptual way, working with clinical concepts instead of columns and tables. Yeah, so we'll see a little bit about that. It's very interesting, that specific part, because it's everything based on the openEHR standard and this technology, the query builder technology, that allows you to access to all the information from every clinical document in every EHR and integrate that information into your application in many ways. Yeah, and talking about integration, the last part of the workshop will be showing you how to actually integrate the EHRServer into a clinical record application. Yeah, I will show you how to do that with a very simple, very bare bones application, but to give you the idea and actually showing you how to integrate that into your application. And you will see that it's very easy. You just need to understand how the REST API works, how templates work, how the information, the openEHR information model works, etc. And you will have all the information, and the final step is to integrate the EHRServer as a backend. Yeah. The modality, all our workshops and courses are online, and for this workshop we will have 3 sessions, online sessions that are synchronous, so you are live with me in a session, and if you can't be on the session live, we will record each session so you can access that later, because we give these workshops online to many people living on different countries and different time zones. So we know that not everyone can access the live sessions in a synchronous way, so we will give you the recording of each session. Yeah, we will have a virtual campus where we share all the presentations for the workshop, all the materials, all the code, the links, documentation, everything is there, and we will also publish the how to access to the live sessions, and after the live sessions the recording of each session will be available for you. We'll have 3 sessions, is about 2 hours each, more or less, and we will have 1 session per week, and the workshop will start on May 20 and will finish on June 9. Yeah, and you have time to enroll until May 12. Yeah, May 12 will be the final date where you can enroll to the workshop. You have a lot of time to enroll, but don't forget that because times run quick, to enroll and confirm your enrollment in the course, in the workshop. Yeah, we will offer also certification. You will have a participation certificate for participating in this workshop, and the trainer will be me. So this is a little picture about me and some information. You can find more information on the founder area of CaboLabs.com. I've been doing these online workshops and courses since 2011, and I have trained more than 500 people from 16 countries in Spanish and English. As you can tell, my main language is not English, it's Spanish, but I think you can understand what I say. Okay, so yeah, I have a lot of experience with openEHR, and I am also the main developer and designer architect of the EHRServer. So yeah, I am the expert on this area. You can get more information about the workshop also on our blog. I can find the blog link here. You can find the blog link here. And also on our blog, you can find a lot of information about openEHR, EHRServer, and also posts about healthcare information systems and standards about interoperability. So you can find a lot of information here. And the information about the workshop is here. So you have some dates there, some information about the EHRServer itself. So this is a good read with a couple of links there. Also a link to the open source project. I will show you that in a second. Here you have the topics and the costs of the workshop are there. Also, when you enroll, you will find the enrollment form here. When you enroll, you will see all the information about how to do the payments. We have a couple of options to do that. All the information is here. Yeah. And about the open source project, this is an open source product. You can find the main features here, some screenshots about this is the administrative user interface. So it's for managing the clinical information in the EHRServer. Information about this is the query builder, the component that I mentioned before, where you select information you want to query and you define your criteria in a visual way. This is like creating a SQL query, but not based on a query language, but based on concepts like blood pressure and systolic and diastolic. Yeah, it's very easy. Also, it is designed in a way that it can fit on your mobile device, so you can manage it from your phone or your tablet. A little bit about the internal architecture, so the components in the EHRServer. We will talk about this in the workshop, don't worry, but all the information is here. Some features, the technologies, support the project, some ways you can contact the community and you can ask questions and report issues. So you have all there. Some information about how to install the EHRServer. I will actually show you how to do this in the workshop, so don't worry. Yeah, some information that you need to configure there. Yeah, but everything is here and also on our website. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. If you want to access all the links that I show you, you will see all the links. You will find all the links in the video description. So I will put everything there. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me directly from the CaboLabs website, or just make a comment in the video. And let me know if you have any doubts, any comments about this workshop. Remember that enrollment will end in 4 weeks, so you have some time to enroll, but remember that we will close enrollment in 4 weeks, and we have maximum number of people to have in the workshop. So just try to reserve your spot in the workshop, and if you have any questions, please let me know. That's all for me. Have a nice day. Bye bye.